The cave in Sector 7 grams. The wind howled across the dusty surface of the alien moon. Red dust blew through the air like smoke. Nothing lived out here. No plants, no animals, just rocks, silence, and shadows. A single escape pod lay half buried in the ground. Smoke rose from its engine. Sparks flew. The door creaked open, and a man pulled himself out, coughing. His name was Jack. He was a human explorer. His mission was simple: scan new moons for resources. But something had gone wrong. A power surge, a system crash. Now he was stranded, alone, and hurt. He looked around. The sky was dark purple. 2 suns were setting behind the hills. He checked his oxygen levels. 8 hours, he whispered. Need shelter. Jack grabbed his small survival pack and started walking. His leg was bleeding. Every step hurt. But he didn't stop. He followed the ridge until he saw something in the distance, a hole in the rocks. A cave. He limped toward it. Inside the cave, the air was cooler. Still. Jack switched on his flashlight. The beam cut through the dark. He stepped carefully, deeper inside. The walls were rough and wet. Water dripped from the ceiling. Then he heard it. A soft sound. Breathing. Jack froze. He turned off the light. Silence. His hand moved slowly to his belt, where a small stun gun was clipped. He didn't draw it, yet. He crouched low and moved forward. Then it happened. Something jumped at him from the shadows. Sharp claws scratched his arm. He fell back hard, grunting in pain. The flashlight rolled away, hitting the cave wall, and lit up the creature. It was a girl, but not human. She had silver blue skin, glowing eyes. Her body was thin, shaking, covered in cuts. Her long black hair stuck to her face. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. She was breathing fast, angry, scared. Jack didn't move. He held up his hands. "I'm not your enemy," he said quietly. She bared her teeth, a growl in her throat. Jack slowly reached into his bag and pulled out a water packet. He tossed it toward her feet. She didn't touch it. Instead, she lunged again. This time, Jack blocked her with his arms. "Stop," he shouted. "You're hurt." She hit his shoulder, but then she collapsed. Her body was shaking. Her legs gave out. She fell to the ground, breathing hard. Jack stared at her. His heart was pounding. He looked at her arms. Burns, deep cuts, bruises. Someone had hurt her badly. "What happened to you?" he whispered. She didn't answer. Jack picked up his flashlight and set it down so the light stayed on. He pulled out his medkit. He moved slowly toward her. "I can help," he said softly. She watched him, eyes full of fear and pain. But she didn't move away. Jack cleaned her wounds, wrapped them in bandages, gave her food paste, gave her more water. Finally, she spoke. One word. "Why?" Jack blinked. "Why what?" She pointed at herself. "Enemy." Jack shook his head. "You don't look like an enemy. You look like someone who's been running." Her eyes filled with tears. She looked away. Jack sat down beside the cave wall. He was tired. His own leg was bleeding again. He wrapped it quickly. Then he looked back at her. "What's your name?" She said nothing. "Mine's Jack," he said. "I crashed here. Like you, maybe." The girl finally whispered, "Alara." "Alara," he repeated. "Nice to meet you." They sat in silence for a while, just breathing, just thinking. Outside, the wind screamed louder. A storm was coming. Suddenly, Jack's communicator beeped. A red light flashed. His heart dropped. "No signal," he said, "but something's nearby." He stepped outside the cave entrance and looked at the sky. A drone. It flew low, scanning the ground with a red beam. Jack ducked back into the cave. He grabbed a metal shield from his bag and placed it over the entrance. The drone passed overhead. He turned to Alara. "They're looking for someone," he said. She didn't answer. He looked into her eyes. They're looking for you, aren't they? She didn't nod. She didn't speak. But the fear in her eyes said yes. Jack leaned back against the wall. This wasn't just an accident. This wasn't just survival anymore. He had found something big. No. Someone. She was hunted. Jack held his breath as the red light passed by the cave entrance. The drone was close. Too close. Alara crouched behind a rock, her hands trembling. Jack looked at her, then at the small pulse grenade in his hand. He didn't want to use it. It was loud. It would bring more drones. But if this one entered the cave, they were both done. The drone hovered near the entrance, scanning again. Its red eye blinked. Unauthorized life forms detected, the voice said. Prepare for capture. Jack acted fast. He pressed the grenade, tossed it outside, and yelled, "Cover your ears." Boom. A flash of blue light shook the ground. Dust filled the cave. The drone sparked and crashed to the ground in pieces. Silence returned. Jack peeked out. The drone was dead. But they both knew more were coming. Alara sat against the wall, her knees pulled to her chest. Jack could see it in her face. She had done this before. Run. Hide. Fight. Run again. Who are they? Jack asked. Alara didn't answer. He sat down across from her. You said you were the enemy. But you also said you were hunted. She looked at him, her eyes glowing dimly in the dark. I escaped, she whispered. From what? From them, she said. From the ones who made me fight. Jack didn't speak. He waited. Alara took a shaky breath. I was a soldier. They trained me to kill. They put something inside me. A command system. I couldn't say no. Jack frowned. But you did. She nodded. I ran away. They call me a traitor now. He leaned forward. Why did you run? Alara's voice broke. Because I saw something better. I saw humans. I saw peace. Jack's eyes widened. You've seen humans before. Yes. Not in person. Through secret channels. Images. Voices. Dreams. Dreams. She nodded again. One dream, again and again. A human, giving me water. Kindness. No fear. Like you. Jack felt a chill go through him. That moment earlier, when he gave her water, that was in her dream. He didn't know what to say. Outside, thunder rolled across the alien sky. The storm was getting closer. Jack checked his scanner. Another drone incoming. Big one. 2 minutes. He looked at Alara. We can't stay here. She didn't move. Do you know anywhere safe? Alara closed her eyes. There's a tunnel under the cliffs. Old mining tunnels. Forgotten. No scanners. Jack grabbed his bag. Then we go now. She tried to stand but fell. Her leg was injured again. Jack knelt beside her. I'll carry you. No, she said. Too heavy. Too slow. He smiled. I've carried heavier things. Before she could argue, he lifted her onto his back. She was light. Tired. Barely holding on. They left the cave and hurried toward the cliffs. Rain began to fall. Not normal rain. Thick, glowing drops that sizzled on the ground. Acid rain. Jack pulled a heat shield over them both. It burned holes in his jacket. But he kept going. Alara whispered, Why are you helping me? Jack breathed hard. Because you're not the monster they say you are. They'd reached the cliffs. A dark opening waited beneath jagged rocks. There, she said, pointing weakly. Jack slid down the slope, stones cutting into his hands. They entered the tunnel just as another drone flew overhead. The tunnel was cold. Old metal pipes ran along the walls. It smelled like rust and fear. Jack set her down gently. You okay? She nodded. Rest. I'll check the entrance. As she rested, Jack moved a few rocks to cover the tunnel. It was hard work. His arms ached. His leg burned. But they were safe. For now. He sat beside her, tired and soaked. "What's your planet called?" he asked. "Velnari," she said softly. It was green, full of water, beauty, until the war. What war? A war to take everything. Power, land, stars. My father wanted it all. Jack looked at her carefully. "Your father?" "The general," she whispered. "Leader of the Velnari army. He built the command system. He made me what I am." Jack was quiet. "So you're like a princess?" "No," she said. "I am a weapon, born to lead, born to kill." Jack shook his head. "But you didn't." She smiled, sadly. "Not yet." Suddenly, his communicator buzzed. A new alert. Jack's name was now listed on the bounty network. Wanted for aiding a fugitive alien. Reward 50,000 credits. Status armed and dangerous. Jack stared at it. "They just made me a criminal," he muttered. Alara saw the screen and closed her eyes. "I'm sorry." He looked at her. "Don't be," he said. "Now we run together." The bounty signal. The tunnel was dark and narrow. Jack could barely stand straight. His boots splashed in shallow water as he moved forward, flashlight in one hand, stun gun in the other. Behind him, Alara limped quietly. Her glowing eyes lit the way like faint stars. She said nothing, but her face showed pain and fear. Jack kept checking his scanner. 5 heat signals were moving fast. Armed. Trained. Close. "We need to find a way out," he whispered. "No way out," Alara replied. "Just deeper." "Then we go deeper." They moved through broken doors, rusty ladders, and long-forgotten mining carts. Strange noises echoed all around, water dripping, metal groaning, and sometimes things that didn't sound natural. "How far do these tunnels go?" Jack asked. "Miles," Alara said. "Some connect to the old transport hub under the mountains." "Can we reach it?" "Only if we don't die first." Jack gave a small laugh. Comforting. They passed a rusted control panel. Jack tapped a few buttons, hoping for a map. Nothing. Just static. Suddenly, a high-pitched noise buzzed in Jack's ear. His communicator. A new message appeared. It was not from Earth Command. It was from something darker. "Jack Wilder, your location is known. Surrender the fugitive or face consequences." Jack's blood turned cold. Then a second message appeared, this one with a live image. His face, his name, his ID code, and beside it, Alara's face, her alien features outlined in red. Underneath, "Wanted. Together. Dead or alive. Reward, 100,000 credits." Jack turned off the screen. "They doubled the price," he muttered. Alara looked away. "I bring death everywhere." Jack didn't reply. He checked the scanner again. The heat signatures had split, some moving through the side tunnels, closing in from different directions. "They're trying to trap us," he said. They moved faster now. The tunnel turned downward, toward an old storage level. Broken crates and strange tools littered the floor. Ancient machines stood still in the corners, like sleeping beasts. Jack stopped suddenly. "Wait," he said. "Do you hear that?" A soft hum. Then, a thump. And another. Someone was walking above them. Maybe 5, maybe 6 people. Armored. Armed. Then a voice echoed through the tunnels, cold and calm. "Jack Wilder, you have 10 seconds to surrender the alien. Step forward with your hands raised. If you do not, we will kill you both." Jack looked at Alara. "Do they mean it?" She nodded. "They always do." Jack clenched his jaw. "Then we fight." Alara's hand reached toward her neck. She pulled out a small, glowing crystal hidden in her armor. "What is that?" Jack asked. "It's not a weapon," she said. "It's me." She crushed the crystal in her hand. Instantly, her body lit up with energy. Glowing lines moved across her skin like living circuits. Her wounds began to close. Her eyes turned brighter, stronger. "Command override unlocked," she whispered. Jack stepped back. "You said you didn't want to fight." "I didn't," she said. "But they won't stop unless we fight back." Suddenly, gunfire exploded above them. Jack grabbed her hand and pulled her into a side tunnel. Bullets hit the walls. Sparks flew. Voices shouted in strange languages. "Go left," Alara yelled. They ran into a room full of pipes and smoke. Jack slammed the door shut and locked it. "Can they get through?" he asked. "Yes," she said, "but not fast." Jack looked around. The room had a control terminal. He wiped off the dust and tapped a few buttons. To his surprise, a map appeared. "It works," he said. "Look, this tunnel leads to an old hangar. Maybe there's a transport pod." Alara looked at the map. "We must go now. They will breach the door soon." But then Jack saw something else on the screen. A red icon. Blinking. Tracking them. "They planted a beacon on me," he said. He pulled his jacket off, searched the seams, and found it. A tiny tracker stuck to his shoulder pad. He threw it across the room. It blinked twice, then exploded. The lights flickered. Alara looked into his eyes. "They're getting smarter. Then we get faster." They exited through another tunnel. This one was old and crumbling. Parts of the ceiling had fallen in. They had to crawl over broken stone and metal bones. Jack's leg was getting worse. The pain slowed him down. But he didn't stop. Finally, they reached a chamber with a large steel door. Alara touched a symbol on the wall. The door opened with a long hiss. Behind it was a dark hangar. And inside the hangar, a small, dusty escape ship. "It might still work," Jack said, running forward. But before they reached it, lasers hit the ground beside them. The bounty hunters had arrived. Alara stepped in front of Jack, her hands glowing with light. The leader of the hunters stepped forward, a tall alien in black armor, cold eyes. "Surrender her," he said. "You're not part of this war, human." Jack raised his weapon. "I am now." Escape across the crater. For a moment, the hangar fell silent. Dust swirled around the broken ship. Sparks dripped from hanging wires. The only sound was the low hum of power in Alara's glowing hands. The bounty hunters didn't expect that. Jack stood behind her, aiming his stun gun at the leader. He didn't blink, didn't speak. He was ready. The lead hunter stepped forward. His armor reflected the red warning lights around the room. His voice was cold. "Your powers were disabled. How did you get them back?" Alara didn't answer. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Last warning," he said. "Give her to us. And walk away." Jack stepped beside her now. "She's not going anywhere with you. You'll die for her, if that's what it takes." The hunter smiled. Then he raised his hand and opened fire. Jack dove left. Alara raised her arms. A shockwave of blue energy blasted from her palms, forming a glowing wall in front of them. Bullets and lasers hit the shield, lighting up the room in flashes. "Run to the ship," she shouted. Jack didn't wait. He sprinted across the hangar floor, dodging fire. Bullets tore through crates beside him. Metal exploded. Alarms rang. Alara followed, holding the shield behind her like a dome, blocking their path. Jack reached the side of the old escape ship. The door was jammed. "It won't open," he yelled. "Stand back." Alara jumped forward and slammed her glowing hand into the control panel. The door burst open with a hiss. They rushed inside. Jack jumped into the pilot's seat. The dashboard was cracked, half dead. He slammed his hand on the power button. Nothing. Come on, come on." Outside, the hunters were getting closer. One tossed a plasma grenade. Alara held her breath. "They'll blow us up." Jack yanked out 2 wires from under the panel and twisted them together. The engine coughed. Lights flickered. Then, the ship roared to life. "Yes," Jack shouted. "Strap in." Alara jumped into the seat beside him. Jack hit the thrusters. The ship shook, coughed again, then lifted. Slowly, too slowly. The grenade exploded just as the ship rose through the ceiling. Fire burst behind them. The rear panel was damaged. Alarms screamed. Jack pushed the controls hard. The ship shot out of the hangar into the purple sky, engines trailing smoke. "We're flying," he said. "Not for long," Alara warned. "Your rear engine is failing." Jack looked at the controls. "We'll have to land across the crater." I saw a cave system near the western ridge. Below them, the moon's surface stretched wide and empty. Sharp rocks, sandstorms, black shadows. Suddenly, red lights appeared on the radar. "They're chasing us," Jack shouted. Alara turned to the back window. 2 small fighter drones were gaining fast. "I'll handle them." "How?" She stood, balancing inside the shaking ship. Her hand glowed again, brighter than before. She opened the rear hatch. Wind screamed inside the cabin. Jack yelled, "You'll get sucked out." "Trust me." Alara leaned out and raised her arm. A beam of pure energy shot from her hand and hit the first drone. Boom! It exploded in a ball of fire. The second drone fired back, just missed her by inches. Alara's eyes flashed white. She released a second beam. It hit the drone's engine. It spun, caught fire, and vanished into the sand below. Alara fell back inside, weak, drained. Jack caught her. "Are you okay?" "Yes, but I need rest." Jack brought the ship down near the western ridge. It wasn't a smooth landing. The ship scraped across the ground and hit a rock. Hard. They were thrown forward, but they survived. The ship was dead, burning, cracked. Jack kicked the emergency door open. "We need to hide," he said. He helped Alara out of the wreck. Her feet barely touched the ground. Together, they stumbled toward a nearby crater. Red sand blew in all directions. It felt like a storm was building again. "This way," Jack said, pointing toward a narrow gap between 2 large rocks. They squeezed through and found another cave. Quiet. Safe. For now. Inside, Jack pulled out his medkit. He helped Alara lie down. "You burned a lot of energy," he said. She nodded. "More than I've used in years." Jack looked at her carefully. "You said they disabled your powers. How did you get them back?" Alara looked away. "The crystal," she whispered. "I wasn't supposed to use it unless I was ready to accept the cost." "What cost?" She touched her chest. "It links me to you now. Our lives are tied." Jack frowned. "What does that mean?" "If I die, you die. If you die, I do too." Jack went silent. "Why would you do that?" "Because," she said softly, "you were the first person who didn't treat me like a weapon. You gave me water." Jack sat beside her, tired, confused, but also something else. He didn't feel alone anymore. Jack's choice. Jack woke up to silence. The cave was dark, cold. Only the soft glow of Alara's skin lit the space around them. She was still asleep, breathing steady, peaceful for the first time since he met her. Jack stood slowly. His body ached from the crash. Cuts covered his arms. His leg throbbed with pain. He looked at her again. She had saved him, not once, but twice. First in the hangar, then in the sky. But now, something felt wrong. He walked to the entrance of the cave. The storm outside had passed. Red dust covered the land like a soft blanket. But something moved in the distance. Jack narrowed his eyes. A tall figure stood near the wrecked ship. Black armor. No sound. No light. It didn't search, didn't move fast. It just waited. Jack felt a chill crawl up his spine. He grabbed his scanner, aimed it at the figure. No data. Unknown life form. That was rare. Very rare. Suddenly, his communicator beeped. A private signal. A cold voice spoke in his ear. "Human, return the girl. You have 30 minutes, or we take her." Jack's fists clenched. "Who are you?" he asked. No answer. Just static. Then, a second message appeared, visual this time. An image. Alara, younger, smaller, wearing royal armor, standing beside a tall alien general in red armor. Her father. A commander of the war. Jack stared at the image. The resemblance was clear. Alara wasn't just a fugitive. She was the bloodline, the daughter of the enemy. He turned off the screen and walked back inside. She was awake now, sitting quietly, watching him. "You saw it," she whispered. Jack nodded. "You lied to me," he said softly. Alara looked down. "I didn't lie. I just didn't say everything. You're the general's daughter." "Yes. He's the reason millions are dead." "I know." Jack sat across from her, his eyes hard. "Why didn't you tell me?" Alara's voice trembled. "Because I wanted you to see me first, not the war, not the blood. Just me." He didn't speak. A long silence passed between them. Finally, she continued, "I was raised in war, trained to be a weapon, but when I saw what he planned, full destruction, I ran. You had powers, command codes. You could have stopped him." "No," she said. "He made sure I couldn't override him unless." She stopped. "Unless what?" She looked up. "Unless I bonded with a non-vulnerary life form. It was a safety lock, a punishment. If I betrayed my people, I had to share my life with someone who wasn't one of them." Jack's heart pounded. "Me?" She nodded. "You." He leaned back, overwhelmed. Outside, the shadow moved closer. They didn't have much time. Jack stood, walked in circles, then turned to her. "You said we're connected now. If one of us dies, the other dies too." He looked at the exit. "They gave me a choice," he said. "If I hand you over, they'll let me go." Alara's eyes didn't change. "You should," she said. Jack frowned. "What?" "You should give me to them. Save yourself." He shook his head. "You know that's not who I am. But you don't know what's coming. My father won't stop. He sent the recall soldier. Silent. Deadly. Not a bounty hunter. A taker." "A taker?" She nodded. "They erase traitors from memory, from history. They don't just kill you. They erase your whole existence." Jack's jaw tightened. "Then we fight." Alara touched his hand. "No, not yet." She reached into her pocket, pulled out a small crystal chip. "What's that?" he asked. "A memory key. Everything my father has planned. Maps, weapons, timelines, his next targets." Jack's eyes widened. "Why didn't you show me before?" "Because once you see it, you become a target forever." He stared at her hand. The chip sat there, glowing faint blue. "If you take it," she said, "your life will never be the same." Jack thought for a long moment. Then he reached out and took the chip. Alara smiled. "Then it's done." The cave shook. Outside, the taker had arrived. Its body was massive, made of black armor and shadow. It didn't speak. It didn't aim. It just raised its hand. And the rocks exploded. Jack threw himself over Alara as the cave collapsed behind them. Dust, fire, silence. They coughed and crawled out through the back tunnel. "He's too strong," Jack said. "We can't fight him." Alara nodded. "Not alone." She looked at the chip in Jack's hand. "But with that," she said, "we might not need to." The bond ritual. Snow fell softly across the frozen cliffs. The wind howled between broken towers of ice. It was colder than Jack had ever felt. His hands were numb, his face burned from the wind. But he didn't stop. He and Alara moved slowly through the storm, following the path shown by the crystal chip. "How much farther?" Jack asked, his voice muffled by the cold. "We're close," Alara said. "The signal is near." Behind them, their footprints vanished quickly, swallowed by the snow. There was no going back. Finally, they saw it. A cliff wall covered in thick ice. At first, it looked normal. But Alara walked up to it, placed her glowing hand on the ice, and whispered something in her language. The wall shimmered. Then it opened. A hidden tunnel of steel and light stretched deep into the mountain. Jack followed her inside. Heat wrapped around him like a blanket. The door sealed behind them. "What is this place?" he asked. "An old rebel base," she replied. "From the early days of the war, before my father crushed the resistance." They walked past old war posters, cracked helmets, broken weapons. "Is anyone still here?" "I don't know." They reached a large metal door. Alara placed the chip into a slot. Lights flickered, then turned green. The door opened slowly. Inside was life. People. Alien rebels in faded uniforms, human allies with worn-out gear, tired eyes, quiet voices. They turned and stared at Jack, and then at Alara. Some stood, some reached for weapons. A tall alien with silver armor stepped forward. "Why is she here?" he growled. "She's the general's daughter." Jack stepped between them. "She's not the enemy," he said. "How do we know that?" Jack pulled the crystal chip from his pocket. "Because she gave me this, and it has everything you need to stop the war." The room went silent. Alara spoke. "I left my father. I broke the code. I bonded with a human. My powers are back, but so is my choice." The silver-armored rebel stepped back, then nodded once. "Then follow me." He led them to the control room. Giant screens lit up with maps, targets, signals. Jack placed the chip into the main console. Data poured across the screen. Enemy fleet paths, hidden bases, troop numbers. Gasps filled the room. The rebel leader looked at Alara. "You could have sold us out. You didn't." "I chose a different future," she said. Jack stepped forward. "So what now?" The leader smiled for the first time. "Now we fight back." But Alara wasn't smiling. She was breathing hard, holding her chest. "What's wrong?" Jack asked. "The bond," she whispered. "It's not stable. I used too much energy. I need to complete the ritual." Jack frowned. "What ritual?" The rebel leader stepped forward again. "When a Velnari bonds with another life form, it must be sealed, or it breaks, and both die." "What do we have to do?" Jack asked. The leader looked serious. "You must enter the pool." "What pool?" Alara pointed. "Come." They walked into a glowing chamber deep beneath the base. In the center was a pool of blue light. It shimmered like liquid stars. "This is sacred to our people," she said. "It connects life, memory, truth." She stepped in first. Her body glowed brighter. Jack followed, unsure. The water wasn't cold or wet. It felt like floating inside a dream. Their hands touched. Suddenly, memories hit Jack's mind like lightning. He saw Alara as a child, trained by cruel soldiers, forced to fight, punished for mercy. He saw her watching human broadcasts in secret, learning about kindness, peace, love. He saw her dreams of him, his face, his eyes, his voice. Jack gasped. "You saw me before we met." "Yes," she whispered. "I didn't know if you were real, but I hoped." Jack couldn't speak. Tears mixed with the glowing water. Then the bond locked. A wave of light filled the chamber. Energy wrapped around them both. The ritual was complete. They stepped out, changed, stronger, connected. Alara's voice was clear and steady. "Now if you die, I still die. But if we live together." Jack nodded. "Then let's live." Suddenly, alarms rang across the base. Red lights flashed. A rebel soldier ran in. Incoming ship, stealth class, cloaked until now. It's him. Who? Jack asked. Alara answered. My father. The truth she hid, the sky cracked open as the warship broke through the clouds. Dark, massive, shaped like a blade. The ground shook as its engines roared. Birds scattered. Snow melted under the heat of its arrival. Nothing moved in the rebel base. Everyone held their breath. Jack stood beside Alara at the command center, watching the screen. How big is that thing? He asked quietly. Too big, she whispered. The enemy ship hovered over the cliffs, casting a long shadow across the ice fields. A voice rang through the base's speakers, deep, cold, powerful. Daughter of Velnari, step forward. Your bond with the human is a crime against your kind. Surrender now, and I will let them live. The room went silent. Jack turned to Alara. He's lying, he said. You know that. She nodded slowly. Yes, he never lets anyone live. The rebel commander looked at them both. We can fight, he said, but our weapons won't scratch that ship. We'll be crushed. Alara closed her eyes. There's another way, she said softly. Everyone turned to her. Jack watched her carefully. What are you thinking? I can override him, she said, but only from inside. You mean, go aboard? She nodded. No, Jack said. It's a trap. Maybe, she said, but it's our only chance. Jack looked at the others, scared, silent, waiting for someone to lead. He looked at her again. Then I'm going with you. You can't, she said. We're bonded, remember? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I'm not letting you do this alone. Alara stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. Then we go together. The rebel base had one working stealth flyer. Jack and Alara climbed aboard. The rebels gave them old weapons, oxygen masks, and quiet nods. No one thought they'd come back. As they lifted off, Jack looked down at the base. So many lives depending on two people. He turned to Alara. Are you scared? Yes. Me too. They flew through the clouds, cloaked by storm winds. The enemy ship didn't see them, yet. Jack guided the flyer under the main engine, toward a small hangar gate. Alara used her blood to unlock the code. The gate opened. They slipped inside. No alarms. Silent. Too silent. They stepped out, weapons ready. Jack scanned the area. No guards. He wants me to come, she said. He wants this to feel easy. Then we ruin his plan. They walked through the halls. Black steel. Glowing red lights. Ancient Velnari carvings along the walls. Jack could feel it. Something dark. Heavy. Like walking into a nightmare. Finally, the doors opened to a wide throne room. There he was. The warlord. Tall. Powerful. Wrapped in armor that pulsed with light. His face, cold and proud. Daughter, he said, you have returned. Alara stood tall. I'm not your daughter anymore. You wear my blood, but not your hate. His eyes narrowed. And the human? He asked, looking at Jack. He's more my family than you ever were. The warlord laughed once, dark and sharp. You came to kill me. No, she said, to stop you. He raised one hand. Jack lifted his weapon. Don't, the warlord said. You fire, you both die. He wasn't lying. His armor had auto-defense fields. Any attack would reflect back. Alara stepped forward. Then let's talk, she said, one final time. The warlord watched her carefully. You broke the code, bonded with a lesser being, gave away your power. You're not Velnari anymore. Alara's voice was strong now. No, she said. I'm more, because I chose. You chose weakness. I chose love. A pause. The warlord raised his arm. But this time, it wasn't to attack. A small control crystal floated above his hand. This, he said, is the override. One command, and every rebel base dies. He smiled, including the one under your ice cliffs. Jack's heart dropped. Alara whispered, "No. Give yourself to me," he said, "and I won't press it." Jack looked at her. "Don't," he said. "If I don't, they all die. If you do, he wins." Alara stared at her father, then at Jack. Then she smiled. "You always said emotions were weakness," she said to her father, "but they're strength." She reached for Jack's hand, and together they jumped forward, not to attack, but to connect. Alara placed her hand over the warlord's armor. Jack placed his hand over hers. Their bond energy surged between them, too strong, too raw. The armor cracked. The control crystal shattered. Light exploded through the throne room. The warlord screamed, and then fell silent. When the smoke cleared, Jack and Alara stood in the ruins of the throne room. The warlord was gone. The control system offline. The war was over. Epilogue. Weeks later, the galaxy watched as a message was sent across every channel. A human and a Velnari standing side by side. Alara spoke. "We were born enemies, but we chose something different." Jack added, "And if we can choose peace, maybe others can too." On rebel worlds, on human colonies, on broken ships and silent moons, people listened. Some cried, some smiled, but none turned away.